Hey there, fellow classic comic collectors. As always, I'm Scott Harris King, and as promised, I'm back with the Mighty Marvel Comics calendar for 1979, featuring the Incredible Hulk, a big, dumb goober that for some reason people like. I don't know. But there's some really great art in here, even though it has the Hulk in it. So we're gonna talk about this here. Last time around, we showed the 1978 calendar, which has some amazing Spider-Man art, and I'm not a huge Spider-Man fan either, but man, some of the art in that is fantastic. And this has some great art, again, by some people you don't expect to be drawing a Hulk. I'm a particular fan of the Walt Simonson one and the John Byrne. So we're gonna get to all of that here. Again, here's the front cover. And as it says here, it says National TV Star. Now, Spider-Man also was doing some TV stuff when that came out in 78, but by 79, Incredible Hulk, huge smash hit TV show at the time. So it makes sense that they would want to capitalize on that with the Hulk calendar. Now, the back cover, last time around, there was on the inside back cover, we had a little speech from Stan Lee about how cool Spider-Man is. Well, this time they put that on the back cover. So here's the little thing from Stan about how great the Hulk is, and complete with a picture of Stan looking as cool as he can, with his sunglasses indoors, and he's looking as much like Burt Reynolds as he possibly can. So Stan is just knocking it out of the park in the 70s. Interesting, last time in the inside they had Daily Bugle, which was great. This time they decided to actually do a comic strip that retells the origin of the Incredible Hulk, which I think is also really cool. And it does give you the credits for each of the images, which is really handy because a couple of them I never would have guessed. But I would have guessed this, and I'm generally not a big fan of Kirby's Hulk drawings, but this is one of the best. I love the coloring on it. It's really one of Kirby's best Hulk works, I think. It's really great. It's like a great pop art sort of image. And as always, I haven't really been showing the actual calendar part that much, but it's kind of the same for everyone. They mix in the birthdays of the different major Marvel creators, and then they have little bits about the characters and stuff like that as well. Okay, as promised, it's February, and here is Walt Simonson. Check it out. Super cool, right? Now, this is 1979, so I think Walt Simonson, he wasn't yet the regular artist on Star Wars. I don't think that happened until a couple years after this. So I'm not really sure what Walt was doing at this time. I think it's right around the time where he did the Alien adaptation. But in terms of Marvel work, I'm not quite sure what Walt Simonson was really doing. But really cool, really unexpected. Unexpectedly bright coloring. I'm a big Walt Simonson fan, so it's always cool to see works of his that you're not really expecting to see, and it's just a great Hulk image. And this is really cool. Of course, I'm a huge Avengers fan. This is from Sal Buscema, who is a classic Avengers artist, and it's retelling the first appearance of the Avengers #1, with Loki bringing the Avengers together by trying to have the other heroes take out the Hulk, and instead they band together to beat Loki. So a really cool alternate version of that. I do enjoy how they do that throughout these, to have these key moments reinterpreted by different artists. Here's Dave Cockrum and Bob Layton. And I gotta be honest, I wouldn't have pegged either of those people for being responsible for this artwork. I don't know if it's the coloring or what, But I'm not getting Cockrum from this at all. It looks like a very Ditko-esque Betty over here. But here's a really cool, very simple design, but very awesome. It's George Perez, and it's the Hulk fighting the Silver Surfer. Obviously, George Perez, what can you say? The guy's one of the greatest of all time when it comes to superhero comics. I don't know enough about Hulk to really identify the source of all of these images, but I know that Hulk and Silver Surfer fought famously in Tales to Astonish. I think it was issue 93 with a Maurice Severin cover. So I think this is reimagining that fight. But I'll bring it in here so you can see the detailing on this. Just super cool. I mean, George Perez has images in most of these calendars, and they're just fantastic across the board. And then, not to be outdone, here's John Buscema, where the Hulk is fighting the Asgardians on the Rainbow Bridge. I don't know what this story is, but John Buscema, of course, was a longtime Thor artist. Tends to do his best work when it's not really superhero stuff, but more fantasy stuff, and he absolutely kills it here. See Asgard back there. So great. I'm just pausing to check the artists on these because I don't recognize them. This is Ron Wilson. Interestingly, inked Pablo Marcos. And it's the Hulk versus Thing fight. Gonna guess the one that they're referencing here is the one in Fantastic Four 112. Because we're well past issue 12. The Thing is also drawn like the later Thing, not like the early rocky lumpy Thing. So I think this is probably from FF 112. I think Ron Wilson is underrated as an artist. He did one of my favorite Avengers covers, Avengers 129. I don't know who this is. Oh, it's Keith Pollard and Tom Palmer. Again, I wouldn't have pegged this for Keith Pollard if you'd given me all day to figure it out. But it's the Hulk with his Rogues Gallery. Interesting decision to color them all this sort of monochrome, sort of bluish color. We've seen some of the group shots from the previous calendars where they're colored normally. I don't dislike it, but it is just an interesting choice. And again, I wouldn't have gotten necessarily Keith Pollard out of this. But it is cool. Oh, and here, I never would have pegged this. Okay, here is Hulk in his fantasy thing. This is where he got shrunk down. I don't know, an issue, like it was around 135 or something. He gets shrunk down to microscopic size onto a fantasy world, and it became like a fantasy, like a Conan-esque character. This is entirely by Herb Trimpe. Now, I'm not a huge Trimpe fan, and but this has a level of sophistication and detailing and subtlety that I do not associate at all with Herb Trimpe. So, frankly, I was shocked to see that this is all Trimpe. The other ones, it doesn't say who colored any of these, but the other ones that'll have the listing of, the inker and the penciler, just says Herb Trimpe. So apparently he inked this himself in a very different style than I associate with his Hulk work. So this is actually excellent. I mean, I think this is one of the best, if not the best, Herb Trimpe pieces that I've ever seen. So if you're a fan of Herb Trimpe, if you're a fan of Herb Trimpe's Hulk, definitely recommend getting this calendar. Now, next up we have another Sal Buscema, Spider-Man fighting Hulk. Again, makes sense. Sal Buscema was a regular Hulk artist for a long time, so he had been an Avengers artist. It makes sense for them to do the Avengers. And of course, he also was a long time Spider-Man artist. I'm not sure he was actually working on Spider-Man yet when he did this piece, but he had, of course, was a regular artist on Spectacular Spider-Man for what seemed like 7 million years. When his art got progressively worse and worse. I absolutely hate the Sal Buscema art on Spectacular Spider-Man in the 80s and 90s. But this is cool. Again, two characters that I'm not huge fans of, but I recognize a cool piece of artwork when I see one. This is probably the coolest in the whole thing. I talked last time about how much I don't like John Byrne in general, but I very much like his 70s artwork, right? This is also inked, importantly, by Terry Austin, and it's Hulk. I don't know who this guy is. It almost looks like Man-Wolf. But you can see Adam Warlock back here. Now, I think there was a brief period where I was really into Adam Warlock, and I think I actually had these issues. So I think this is an arc from like Hulk 176 to 178, if I'm remembering. It was like just before the first Wolverine arc. But check out the John Byrne art on here. This is the image from this calendar that I normally have on display in my office because it's so great. Although I might switch it out and show either the Perez or the Simonson, because those are both excellent as well. But how cool is that, right? Again, these calendars just have chock filled with just a fantastic art that you just don't see anywhere else. And then finally, a really cool piece here. It's from Ed Hannigan with Klaus Janson, and it's a Christmas themed, because of course it's December, Defenders cover image. So that's cool. I don't know why Howard the Duck is in it, but otherwise clearly the Defenders. It's got all the important Defenders you'd expect, including Red Guardian, who I think was only in the Defenders for a little while during the period this was made. But it's got all the other important Defenders: Valkyrie, Hellcat, Nighthawk, and of course the big ones with Hulk, Doctor Strange, Namor, and Silver Surfer. I love Christmas themed stuff, so this is a really cool one as well, from Keith Pollard. And then another Simonson Hulk, where he's posing for whatever reason like Bowser from Sha-Na-Na. Don't really know why. It's got all the other birthdays that they didn't bother fitting in. But we are also left with this cool piece, which I think is Trimpy, but I'm not sure. This looks more like Trimpy to me. Really cool inside back cover. Got the leader. We got several of his villains, and just this psychedelic, funky thing. This is the inside of the back cover. Again, it looks like Trimpy to me, but I can't be sure of that. So there you have it. There is the 1979 Marvel Hulk calendar, which is, again, even though I'm not a fan of Hulk, it's a great calendar. Definitely recommend all Hulk fans go out and get yourself a copy of this calendar, because it's got so much cool artwork by so many great artists, and art that you just won't see anywhere else. It's just awesome to have this on display, and whenever I feel like looking at different images, flip to a different month, have that on display instead. It's just awesome. So let me know what you think down below. Next time around, when I get back to calendars, it'll be 1980, which was, for whatever reason, and I can't possibly explain why, but it's an all Doctor Strange calendar. So Spider-Man makes perfect sense. Hulk TV star makes perfect sense. Doctor Strange, I don't know, out of all the characters in Marvel, I don't know why they picked Doctor Strange, but since I'm a Doctor Strange fan, I love that they did that. Very hard to find the 1980 Doctor Strange calendar compared to these other ones. So I'll be showing that off next time with, again, some tremendous art that you've never seen before. So thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time.